Hi, I'm Mike Walsh. I'm a futurist, the CEO of the Innovation Research Group Tomorrow, and the author of 3 best-selling books, most recently, The Algorithmic Leader. And I'm really thrilled to be part of this interview series with Mike. And the first question you asked me, I think, is a really relevant one, which is, what does it take to be an algorithmic leader, and how do you overcome the challenges of, often institutional change? And I think, what makes this an interesting question to consider now is that in the past, the biggest challenges were technological. It was making sure that you had the right infrastructure, you had the right technology partners, maybe you had the right devices. But really, in this new era, beginning, I think, in 2023 and onwards, the most difficult thing to get right is actually not the technological infrastructure. It's the cultural operating system. It's actually ensuring that all the people in your organizations, in your ecosystem, in your industry, are not just embracing the latest technologies, but are changing the way they think and changing the way they approach problems and how they view investing in new opportunities. And if you really look at the direction of change and even things like artificial intelligence in the last 18 months, you can see how the skill set has shifted. I mean, 5 years ago, to be an AI expert meant knowing how to build the right statistical models, understanding machine learning, maybe specialist languages like Python. But now, with the launch of something like ChatGPT, as they say, the most powerful programming language on the planet today is just English, or even your native languages if they've built a particular AI model around that. It's knowing exactly how to frame a problem, to ask the AI the right question in the right way, to be able to evaluate the answers about whether there's any bias, and how to build the right sort of mental frameworks for leveraging those technologies. And that's why I think to be an effective algorithmic leader in this new world is not just to have the technical skill, but to really understand the mindset shift that's required in order to change the way you do things. The second question that I was asked was, what are the effective traits to be an algorithmic leader? And I would say there's 2 really very essential skills that you need. One is a deep understanding of human complexity. And this is something that machines can never get right. And this could be whether it's creating a great customer experience or a great user experience, or understanding how to motivate or incentivize the people in your team, understanding the needs of your community. I mean, being able to bridge the gap between human requirements and complexities and what machines can do is a skill that's not going to go away. But the other attribute, which I think is critical, is the ability to think computationally. And this is not knowing programming. It's knowing how to take a problem, break it down into small enough pieces, and know exactly the points where to apply algorithmic leverage, or know how to use machines to augment your capabilities. So to sort of give you a practical example of this, one of the things that is often very difficult is this idea of what is valuable human work. And one of the things I tell people is, don't work, design work. When you have something to do, don't do it. Ask yourself, should any person be doing this task? I don't mean should you delegate it. Actually ask, is there a smarter way of doing this where we can leverage technology, where we can actually eliminate the task itself? If you look at the rise of how programming is changing, one of the most used tools right now in generative AI is something known as GitHub Copilot. It's estimated that something like 60% of all code today is written either by or with the assistance of machines. I know, AI is writing their own code. What could possibly go wrong? But what this is changing is really the nature of the work of a programmer. Does this mean we won't need programmers in the future? Absolutely not. It just means the job of the programmer is starting to change. We need someone who doesn't just write code, but someone who understands the business needs of the application, who can understand the changing security landscape, who knows how to partner with other data providers or infrastructure platforms in the ecosystem in order to make that program more powerful and more insightful. In a sense, in a world where programming becomes more supported by technology, maybe more of us who aren't even programmers to start with will think in a more computational way. So that's what I mean about that quality of being a computational thinker. It's really a challenge for all of us to really extend our capabilities with the power of technology. But another quality, which I think is very important, is the ability to embrace uncertainty. There's a difference between people that think deterministically and think probabilistically. It's often very tempting in a time that we're in like now, where things are changing all the time, it's very uncertain, to try to go back to the things that we are used to. And this is what they call deterministic thinking. In other words, if this happens in the past, this is the strategy we should take. But if you look at machines today, they're probabilistic. They operate on high rates of uncertainty. In many cases, the machine may only be 60 or 70% sure, but that's enough to be useful. So how do we emulate that? And an often thing I tell my audiences or my clients is that you need to be comfortable sometimes acting on 70% uncertainty, knowing that by simply taking a decision, by taking a risk, by doing something in a new way, you will actually gather more information or data that will allow you to course correct or change your position if necessary. It's that ability to handle ambiguity, which in this time of chaos will actually give you the strength and the mindset you need to truly be effective as a 21st century algorithmic leader.